gentlemen, now quickly we will move to our next session, that is roundtable discussion. The topic of the discussion is India bullion markets recovery reforms and response. To moderate the session, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. P.R. Somasundaram, MD World Gold Council, India. Joining him on the discussion are Mr. Manoj Kumar, Executive Director IFSCA, Mr. Prithviraj Kothari, National President IBSA, Mr. Ashish Pite, Chairman GJC, Mr. James Jose, President Hallmarking Federation of India, Mr. Shivanshu Mehta, Head PM Business MCX, Mr. Amar Singh, Managing Director, Head of ABAC Commodities Sales, JP Morgan, Mr. K. Mahendran, Country Head, Precious Metals Division, Karur Vyasa Bank, Mr. Manish Goyal, ICICI Bank. And Mr. Amar Singh would join us virtually. I welcome all the panelists.
Good evening to all of you, and thank you all. We had a panel discussion in Dubai just a month ago. It was the first discussion on the International Bullion Exchange. As you all heard from the chairman, it is not just about I must introduce two of our other panelists. Ashish Pite, the chairman of Gems and Jewelry Council, and Amar Singh, he is from JP Morgan. Since they are on virtual mode, we will ask them more difficult questions, and we'll keep the rest for the panelists here. But welcome all the panelists. Well, as you know, we had this conference a month ago, and as the chairman said, it's a very big transformative move for India. We don't mine gold; we are aware of that. So whatever you get is going to come from some other market, and then you're going to trade in this exchange. So how do you become a price influencer? It's not an easy thing. If you look at China, they have a Shanghai exchange. They mine 450 tons of gold. Okay, they consume 1,000 tons of gold. So that trading happens there. So it is, and the chairman, of course, pointed out to various other complexities. So it will be an interesting conversation. As I said, I have a couple of pointers. So let me first ask Mr. The regulator, who is present here. Sir, I want to ask you one thing. Many of us in this room have had years and years of work with the government, and when it comes to gold, the needle doesn't move very fast. I mean, it has been our experience. You take hallmarking. We started as World Gold Council in 2000, and it took 20 years to make it mandatory. Okay, but this exchange, bullion exchange, it was announced first in 2018 or 19, and then it's now getting into an implementation stage. So what changed in the government's way that you acted so fast?
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, on a lighter note, it rarely happens that regulator gets a opening slot because if regulator gets a opening slot, then probably the rules of the games are set. So, as you rightly mentioned, that all of us have impression that governments and regulators move very slow. Probably that is not true because often from outside we feel that government is not up to the expectation of the industry, and same goes with the regulator, but they speak less but they work more. But here, to the specific question which you raised, that how we were very quickly able to establish this international exchange framework, I think full credit goes to the consortium partners, because as you recollect that while we are unique in the sense that we are a unified regulator, and same unique experiment is getting extended when we have created this unified exchange. And as you know, that all 5 key players of the Indian industries, they have led many reforms in the past. They have come together and they have helped us in creating this wonderful infrastructure. So I think full credit goes to them. And not to mention the contribution made by many of us who are present in this hall today, because I happen to, for me, this is for the first time I am here in the Gold Conference, And thanks to Kothari Saab that he invited me. And as Chairman mentioned that probably time has come for gold to shine further. And these type of events will definitely lead us in that direction. And in my brief tenure and interaction with the gold community, I have found them very, very encouraging, because I happen to go to Jhaveri Bazaar despite the fact that I have been in Bombay for last 26 years. I have never been to Jhaveri Bazaar, and because of this gold initiative, I happen to be in Jhaveri Bazaar, and all of them who were present during that interaction, they were quite enthused about this experiment, and I think full credit has to go to these guys who are present here today.
Thank you very much. That was interesting to note, and also we are noting the point that the government is acting fast, clearly. The set of questions I will ask, so that you're all very clear, it's not going to be an assorted thing. I'm going to ask questions under 4 or 5 themes. One is, what's the global standing about this bullion thing? Where do we stand? We heard Ruth, we heard David Tate, we heard the chairman speaking. I'm also going to talk about the domestic issues that will come in the way. Certainly, I will ask a few questions about products. We will do all this in 45 minutes. So we will talk about the benchmark. What do we expect? Okay, we have all these nice things. At the end of the day, what's going to be the benchmark? 6 months from now, what should we expect? So these are the 4 themes on which. And there is a 5th theme, which is my compensation for running this panel, which is going to be a set of mischievous questions. All right, that's the last one. So wait for it. Don't go to sleep. Now, I will go to Amar first. Amar, this is a question to you. As an international bank, how will you participate in IIBX? Are you yet clear about it? Will it not dilute your over-the-counter OTC route, the role you're playing, where you're a big player?
So first of all, it's a good evening, and I can tell you definitely, I'm the one who is definitely missing the opportunity to be physically present. And hello to all of you. Thank you, Eventel, for this opportunity to talk to you all, even though from a long distance. Coming back to your question, I think you have one question about how OTC and how it will affect personally me. I think on this, the opportunity is enormous as we open up the economy, as well as we reform the gold. And this we have seen not necessarily, and I'm saying you based on my experience, whether you talk about China, whether you talk about Singapore, reform will bring more product, more participant, more activities. And I think, to be honest, as a bullion bank, we are right now in India relying on only one universal product. And to be a successful in the market in which you operate, you need diversity. And I think as a large bullion bank, I can assure you the kind of product which we offer globally, whether it is producer, whether it is trader, whether it is refiner, or whether a consumer, I think if we get this reform gets going, possibly the opportunity for me will be enormous. So let me say that the one thing which Mr. Srinivas mentioned, I want to highlight as well, this will lead to financialization of gold, which means more opportunity for a bank who are well established. And hopefully, we are invested for the last 10 years in India. We will be invested and will continue to look forward to be part of this reform. And the other question, Som, was...
How will you participate? Are you hoping to participate? Are you going to stand out till you see further developments? How is it going to be?
So I think, as I said, we are invested and we are integral part of India gold community. And as a bank, of course, we would like to have more clarity, which we are in touch with the IIBX core committee. And we are continuously updating what as a bank we need. So having said that, I think we will participate. It will be a function of in what method. It will be as and when the more clarity comes, we will be looking at, but definitely we will be participating. Whether down the road, just to let all the members know that we do have a branch in GIFT City. We have put our intention that we would like to include gold as one of our key activities. However, it will depend a lot on some of the fine print, which I hope you all are equally keen as I am keen to see. And based on that, our strategy will be put in place quickly and make sure that we are servicing to the Indian clients.
Thank you. Thank you, Amar. That is a statement from an international bank. Obviously, they have to look at what is the final fine print. So I'm now going to again stick to this global recognition. Shivanshu, I'm going to come to you. What do you think IIBX need to do to gain global recognition? Of course, we saw Chairman himself has gone to London, he has met people, but you know the bullion trade. I mean, there is a global OTC market, there's a London market, there's COMEX futures, there is Shanghai, and which is what David Tate spoke about. There is no fungibility. There are pools, but there is no fungibility. Now, we are a late entrant to this, but we are a big party, and we want to make our presence count. What should IIBX do?
I do understand that the IIBX, as well as under the regulatory aegis of the IFSCA, one thing is pretty clear is that the vision is very clear. Whether we are late entrants or let's say we are not as early entrants as Shanghai Gold Exchange should not make much of a difference. What will make difference is what kind of a need gap we are going to now address. Are we going to make it a gateway of gold import into India? And once we create what we are already creating, standards, we are creating internationally recognized guidelines around responsible sourcing. We'll be having a world standard logistics and vaulting presence, and the convenience of the EGR. Now the beauty is that it's not necessarily to be looked at as a new start, because on the domestic side my experience is that the entire Indian fraternity of bullion traders, see, it's very, very simple. Today they also do the same thing. They lock in prices with the banks, and tomorrow if they get any direct opportunity, which is just a thought process, it would essentially mean that they would lock the gold on the IIBX and maybe lock in those efficiencies or the physical play available to them, and actually get that gold be able to get that gold into India. Now, as far as the first portion of what you asked, how do we attract the international community there? So I think India being the second largest, consumer of gold, from my interactions with Amar and all the others, is that it's a very serious market for them. And as a single platform, what IIBX envisions itself to become, with all the rules, regulations which are internationally benchmarked, the processes, the ease of those processes, and of course, like I said, the market to boot, which is the proof of the pudding. I think it's a fairly optimistic view.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I think that's interesting. I'm now going to come to Manish and Mahindran. Okay, first Manish. Manish, the biggest, again, this is on the global standards, etc. You spoke about India Good Delivery and LBMA. Clearly, what do you think as a banker? I mean, would you be comfortable at this point in time? I'm not saying good work hasn't been done. I mean, we have been driving good delivery, India Good Delivery. But do you think we are still ready yet to advocate a good delivery system which is entirely India driven?
So Suman, this is a very debatable point. There is no right or wrong to this, or there is no yes or no to this. However, we have seen development as well as progress in this respect, where the local exchanges have introduced the India Good Delivery standard bars as standard settlement for their futures. And it can be extended to the international exchange IIBX also. But there is one particular aspect which we'll need to also look into that, because when we are talking about IIBX, we are talking from the point of view where we'll have international suppliers who will be selling gold into IIBX, but at the same time we also envisage that there would be purchase also done by them. That is the way the two-way flow of metal as well as two-way market making would happen. So probably more than Indian banks or the Indian fraternity accepting good delivery, from IIBX point of view, I think it is more important that trust and confidence comes into the global players who are ready to have two-way flows on the exchange.
Your view?
With your permission, I just want to make two initial comments on behalf of IPBA, that's the Indian Bullion Banks Association. Thanks, Eventil, for having brought us here to participate in this discussion. One thing which I wanted to clarify basically is there seems to be some sort of misconception in the sense about the way the bullion banks operate, whether they're acceptable to changes and things like that. Basically, RBI has given permissions to bullion banks to import gold and supply it to the manufacturers across India. So this is a license which is given to us on an annual basis, which has been renewed. And we are subjected to audit and various other things. And the primary responsibility for the bullion banks is to facilitate the import of gold into India and see that the guidelines which has been provided to us, according to that it goes. So in terms of whether it's the existing model which are doing, that's a consignment model, or whether it's the way we are going to import it through the spot market in IBX, it's definitely going to take some time for it to be accepted in the market. Now, as you have heard, and even as the chairperson, Mr. Srinivas, said, there are a lot of gaps right now. We are not complaining, but basically what's happening is we have got into a system where the flow of gold across India is being facilitated by the banks. And the banks will definitely do that. And we just want to assure everyone that almost about 700 to 900 tons of gold which keeps coming into here, it's been possible only through the participations of the bank, and whether it's IBX or whether the existing model, things will definitely be in the same manner. And we are there to support whatever the initiatives is taken. We have now been discussing with RBI as well as with IFSCA to see how we can have a common platform and see this transformation moving from the existing system to the new system.
Excellent, thank you very much. And I must admit, there is still not a clarity from both of you. You haven't really answered. You answered the question, but I realize the delicate. I'm coming to you, sir. Because I need to pick up all the points, and I'm coming to you. There are 3-4 questions for you. James, I'm coming to you. You spoke about this because you're talking about India Good Delivery, and you have been you have worked so closely with BIS on the technical specifications, etc. But you saw Ruth also put up saying that what they are attempting to do and why they are doing it. The finance, even the $15 million for a LBMA refinery is because you have to be a global player. You can't be a small player and say I want to be global. Okay. So what's your view on the standards? Do we have enough gravitas to push India Good Delivery with the regulator convincingly?
See, what I feel is that we have the standards in place, but unfortunately we don't have a regulatory mechanism similar to LBMA in place. Because at the moment RBI has mandated the SEBI to take care of the commodity exchanges, and because of that all these commodity exchanges are working like a consortium. So that will lead to better empanelment of gold refineries for the commodity exchanges. But empaneling gold refineries based on their financial capability and technical competency is just part of the good delivery ecosystem. There are other factors like responsible sourcing. It's a continuous process. Whereas this empanelment is just a one-time process. Responsible sourcing, continuous monitoring, we need to have. Then proactive monitoring of the quality of the products. These are all continuous activities for which we need a regulator. It is not just that SEBI can take care of all these things, or even I would say the exchanges, they have their own activities. So we need an LBMA type of regulator to take the Indian Good Delivery standard forward at par with LBMA standards. And one more thing is that if you look at the Dubai experience, even after 10-15 years, they have the teething problems like responsible sourcing, the recent instances of responsible sourcing issues. So that's one area where the banks and the commodity exchanges need to get some comfort level, that the gold they are buying are free from all problems. So these two areas are very gray areas in the Indian context, So under the SEBI, we need to have a regulator with strong proactive monitoring in terms of technical parameters, in terms of quality of the product, responsible sourcing, etc. Another thing is that in India we have the hallmarking with the HUID. It's a very unique process, very unique serial number for each and every product. And jewelry comes to around 10 crore pieces per annum. It's very unique in across the world. Nowhere in the world have they experimented traceability for each and every article of jewelry. A similar mechanism can be thought for bullion also. Because for bullion, the quantity will be much less compared to jewelry.
Good point.
Yeah. So based on what you call blockchain technology, we can easily adopt it. Once all the teething problems of the jewelry mandatory HUID system is taken care of, we can implement that system for bullion also. That will give a great level of comfort factor for the banks and the commodity exchanges.
A good point. And you saw what was presented by Ruth. There is that digital integrity project coming through where we're working. Now I'm coming to Prithviraj Ji. I'll come to you, Ashish, in a minute. Two things I want, apart from whatever you want to say about this. One is, of course, there is a domestic exchange and an international exchange. On the domestic exchange, I can understand as and when the EGR is done, the GST issues are sorted out, India good delivery may be a workable phenomenon. I have no doubts about it. International side, I still think we have ways to go, but I would like to hear your opinion. But I want to ask one thing. When we talk about international bullion exchange, Prithviraj Ji, the international bullion exchange is expected to make India a trading hub for the global dollar trading. Yes, initially India, domestic India also being an importer, it should provide some volumes for the domestic. But don't you think, sir, that anytime we talk of international bullion exchange, only Indian industry goes and talks as if the IBE is meant for us. Is that, from the start, is that a wrong approach? I want your opinion on this.
लास्ट महीने में मिनिस्ट्री वाज कॉल, हमको बुलाया था इब्जा, जेमन ज्वेलरी, द कॉमर्स सेक्रेटरी, फाइनेंस सेक्रेटरी, RBI, all top guys sitting together on discussion of how IIBX उसको कैसे चलाना है और कैसे उसको सक्सेस करना है. वन थिंग है कि इफ़ अगर बेनिफिट नहीं देते हैं तो कोई भी गिफ्ट सिटी के अंदर नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि देयर इज़ ऑलवेज विद द स्पॉट एक्सचेंज में आपने कभी भी देखा होगा तो सिर्फ OTC प्लेटफॉर्म चलता है. एक्सचेंज वर्ल्ड में टर्की को छोड़ के कहीं पे भी एक्सचेंज नहीं है. बट इसमें बेनिफिट क्या है वो मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि इसमें बेनिफिट ये है, जहाँ तक हमने वहाँ पे मीटिंग हुई उसमें सब ऐसा डिसाइड करके कंक्लूजन हुआ उस पर उनको हुआ कि फर्स्ट थिंग होगा कि कोई भी इंडियन इफ़ देयर नेटवर्क अबाउट 25 करोड़ लास्ट 3 years, नो नीड ऑफ अ कैनलाइज एजेंसी, आप डायरेक्ट IIBX के थ्रू उसको आप खरीद सकते हो. तो इट मीन्स व्हाट, अभी हमको जाने के लिए बैंक से सबको जाना पड़ता था. बैंक्स कंसाइनमेंट मंगाती है ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ कस्टमर्स, बैंक ट्रेड नहीं करती है. तब ये चीज़ को ओपन करने से अगर IIBX से एवरी इंपोर्ट जो भी गिफ्ट सिटी के अंदर इंपोर्ट होगा वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ रूट थ्रू IIBX, उसमें आउटसाइडर DTA से जो भी ज्वेलर्स उसको परचेज करना चाहता है वो या तो स्टॉक ब्रोकर के साथ में जाके परचेज कर सकता है अकाउंट खोलने के बाद में, या अपना एक सब्सिडी कंपनी करके खोलना पड़ता है. क्योंकि हमने जब क्वेश्चन किया कि सर इट्स अ डॉलर टर्म्स, और सेकेंड सबसे बेस्ट पार्ट इज़ द फाइनेंसिंग. इफ़ यू सी इन द दुबई फाइनेंस नहीं मिलता है गोल्ड पे, इंडिया गोल्ड पे फाइनेंस, बट इन द गिफ्ट सिटी आपको फाइनेंस अवेलेबल होगा. आपने वॉल्टिंग फैसिलिटी, द एक्सेलेंट फैसिलिटी, और ऑलमोस्ट 1 वॉल्ट इज़ देयर एंड अदरवाइज इन द प्रोसेस. तो वो 2 वॉल्ट आने के बाद में जैसे आपने माल को वॉल्ट के अंदर डिपॉजिट किया, आपका BDR इश्यू हो जाएगा, और BDR इश्यू होने के बाद में आप एक्सचेंज पे ट्रेड कर सकते हो, और उस एक्सचेंज को ट्रेड करने के बाद में आप BDR को उसको फिजिकल ड्यूटी और IGST पेड करके आप उसको कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो. अगर इस सिस्टम से जो चलता है, ओके LBA में गुड्स हो और नॉन LBA में गुड्स हो, डजेंट मैटर, LBMA है तो भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, क्योंकि कैनलाइज एजेंसी एक बार अगर कैनलाइज एजेंसी ऑल्सो कैन डू द बिजनेस, ऐसा नहीं कि उनको रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहे हैं। बैंक अगर आती है आपके बिहाफ पे, जैसा बिजनेस चलता है वो भी कर सकते हैं, आपको आना है आप भी कर सकते हैं। अगर इस तरह से होता है, हमने उनको एक और प्रपोजल दिया कि गिव सम बेनिफिट ऑन कस्टम्स ड्यूटी, तो उसके ऊपर वो सोच रहे कि एटलीस्ट 0.10 और 0.20 बेसिस पॉइंट गिव बेनिफिट, तो सब लोग IIBX से ही, एक्सचेंज से ही गोल्ड खरीदेंगे। और मुझे लगता है कि अगर ये सिस्टम इम्प्रूव होती है, ऑलरेडी सिटिंग नेक्स्ट टू मी, तो मेरे हिसाब से इस एक्सचेंज का वर्थ है और वैल्यू है, अनलेस इसका वर्थ नहीं रहेगा।
ठीक, thank you, sir. I get this.
With your permission, in less than a minute, it's important to put the numbers in perspective, because at MCX we have actually put this into practice. I'm not talking about IIBX yet. We have designed the MCX good delivery norms on the BIS standard gold, and we have set our own technical qualification audit process in place. Only 2 refiners thus far have cleared all of those things and more, and there are strict financial audits separately. So I'm just saying that we must keep the perspective in mind for India. Why does IGD make sense?
Sivanshu, I have really no problem. I know the amount of work we have done, where we have arrived. 3 years ago, if somebody said we will be sitting in this panel, it would have been, somebody would have said you're just daydreaming. Okay, lots of good work, but let's not forget, we still need to crack a few codes, and these are international codes. Now I will come back to you because there is one quick round and I want my mischief questions, I want those. I'm going to Ashish, and in term, from the jeweler's point of view, how do you see these developments on the bullion exchange? What do you expect out of this? Whether it is domestic exchange, international bullion exchange, don't worry about that. But what do you think? I mean, do you think it is needed, or you are just being dragged into this? Not the panel, I'm saying. I'm talking about the ecosystem.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Eventel, for having me. I think jewelers, I would say there are 3 levels of jewelers. One are pan-India kind of jewelers or international jewelers who are large-sized, who can independently import or work on IIBX and get the best rates and everything. Then there are absolutely small jewelers in interiors, and there is mid-tier who also get gold loans and import, but they are not sure of the pricing that they are getting, whether it's right or whether they're getting the best price and the premiums that they are paying. So I think it's the middle tier which will have an open pricing mechanism through these exchanges so that they get the right price. And the middle tier ones will also be able to use brokers to get right quantity, or many a times the availability of gold through the regular channels is a problem. Second point is, you said that the domestic exchange or the spot exchange that is coming and IBX, as long as the fungibility comes very soon, then most of the people in the domestic industry, even the retail players, would be more than happy to get involved in the exchanges, because movement of gold, getting the right prices are definitely an issue for most of the jewelers. And secondly, the distribution or even the vaulting part in the domestic exchange, the deeper the penetration of vaulting or even distribution of goods, if that improves, I think in 6-8 months time you are going to see better results. And I don't think we are getting dragged. We are part of the whole ecosystem, and we welcome it.
Thank you very much, Ashish. That was encouraging. Now that drags us to the other point. As we all seen, Kothari ji also mentioned, regulators started off. This is entirely going to be a complete disintermediation. This has happened in the banking also. If you really look at the banks, earlier to buy a share, you got to go and, talk to your broker, lots of work. Then the technology came in. Now it is complete. I mean, you're in the bus, you're in the car, you just buy it, and then big banks did it. Now you have completely upstocks and others which are just displacing even the banks. Okay. Now this is a process of change which we will see in the gold industry as well. If the disintermediation happens, that is the question. Now this next block I am coming into very quickly. The domestic players, lot of them are going to, there's a shift, it's a change, it's a shift. People like authorized agencies, they're going to lose their power. If you can go and import directly, if you can buy in the spot exchange, I can sell. It's not, somebody is going to lose, somebody is going to gain, of course. How do you think that is going to play out in the ecosystem? After all, the ecosystem is it's to you, Shivanshu, first, and then, you can join. What do you think will happen? Do you think the authorized agencies or importers, how are they going to react to this?
No, I think, there are two ends to any stick. The radially opposing ends today in China, the rule of the first transaction having to take place on the domestic SGE is the other end of it. So, the point is that if there is a positive change which sort of puts everybody at par, there are bound to be certain, thoughts around it, certain opinions around it. It may take some time. But then these are things which are not only, have happened in gold industry. They've happened in various
industries. Fine. That is my question. How are they going to react? Do you think you will be there? Sir, would you like to answer?
Still the same thing, there is no spot exchange in the world. Only OTC platform is only one is the Turkey. तो यहाँ पे भी सेम सिचुएशन है कि every trade should be, every import and every trade should be through only the spot exchange above 1 kilo. If it's the off-market trade, you have to put the same in the system. तो उस हिसाब से अगर आप देखोगे तो इस एक्सचेंज को बहुत वैल्यू होता है. प्लस सेम थिंग है, ईजीआर इजी ट्रेडेबल, फाइनेंसेबल, हर चीज़ उसमें अवेलेबल हो जाएगा और हम BDR और EGR के बीच में ट्रेडेबल कर सकते हैं.
Again, as you said, there is going to be a shift. People have to use the technology. One thing about opening up anything, one thing about things becoming transparent, as David said, when FX and rates also changed, people were affected. But then now the market is several times what you ever thought. India imports $35 billion of gold. Let's assume it is traded 2 times in the current situation. So you are trading $70 billion to produce $35 billion. With the exchange, let's assume those with money, they also come in, they'll say, I will buy, sell, etc. It becomes $100 billion. Now that's going to increase obviously the overall thing. It will increase efficiency, blah, blah, blah.
You just permit, I think you have raised a very important question that whether the entire process will lead to a disintermediation.
Yes.
Actually not. If you see, it will make intermediation more efficient. You should see it as a first stage of evaluation of an exchange mechanism. And it has happened in securities market also. Brokers have not vanished. People were worried that when electronic trading was started by SEBI in 1998, what will happen to the brokers? Brokers are still working. And in this COVID scenario, I think they are the most prosperous community, if I may say so, because they were the only community who were functioning during the entire COVID scenario. So I don't think that actually what is going to happen is that this entire system, which is today slightly non-transparent and opaque, will become more transparent. And once the system becomes transparent, all the stakeholders will definitely going to gain.
Great, you heard it from the horse's mouth. So there should be wholehearted support from everybody. I'm coming to Amar here. Amar, you're sitting outside the country, you know India very well, you work closely. Do you think, again, it's too early days, I understand, but do you think we have a proper PR strategy? Whenever China does something, the first thing they put across is a PR strategy, then they look at the proposition. Now, we have done lots of work, but our PR is still dependent on, chairman going to London, things like that. This panel should have only people like outside India, apart from the regulator, of course, because we all know this. Now, do you think our PR strategy matches our ambition? And if at all, who should do the PR? Of course, IIBX should do the PR, but I'm just giving you an open comment here.
So I think PR always has more to do, but having said that, I think in my view, India is very well covered in the international arena. And a lot of the bullion banks, particularly this industry, is very well covered. Believe me or not, a lot of people say India's price is not influencer. Maybe yes, but everybody looks at India's import figure, what government is doing, what policies, reforms coming. extremely closely. So PR has always more to do, but my simple answer is the industry is looking very carefully. I think for me, the most critical thing is the people behind this exchange, I think the best in class. Clearly, I hear the government has absolutely a good intention to make this happen and successful. Carefully, and all the people sitting on the dais as well as involved knows what industry need. If those can be given, I think people will make this one of the most successful exchange. And hopefully some of the dreams which people talk about influencer, it will start playing role as in last 20 years, liquidity of gold in Asia has become a prominent, as earlier we used to wait for London to quote prices. Now, I think China provides liquidity to the global players. So I would say, let's put the right policies. And I think all the experienced people sitting on the dais or involved will make it happen soon, in my view.
Thank you, Amar. Shivanshu, I'm coming to you. In terms of compliance for trading in international bullion exchange, have you all thought about it? What kind of KYC? Is it going to be very, very tough? Is it, international thing? Do you see KYC as a big impediment here?
See, I think the net worth requirements and whatever other qualifying norms as enshrined in the operating guidelines are internationally benchmarked with a context to India.
Okay.
Is one. Compliance is absolutely, there is a history. So, I mean, IFSCA already has the benefit of very, very experienced regulators here. So, compliances would be, what are required, and that's the way they are. And very, very facilitative and, great and open approach is what we are seeing from the regulatory side in rolling this out. So those compliances are never ever being a hindrance.
Okay.
So we have set up, a rule that we have grandfathered certain existing members in the IFSC. So, we are trying to make things easy, yet there is no risk. The risk is mitigated.
Good. I'm coming back. What kind of collaboration, global collaboration, should IIBX have or can think of? Let me say that it's not just restricted to the products. I'm also talking about the ownership, etc. Any thoughts on that? I don't want to go to the person because he can't answer. So I'm just asking you, what would you like? Sir, you would also like to answer that, but let Manish first say.
So another point on the previous question, I would like to add one more point regarding compliance. When we talk about compliance on a spot exchange, what I feel is what is important as compliance in KYC for members, equally or more important is also to put proper procedure and compliance angle to the gold movement or gold delivery system, so that to ensure there are no gaps, leakages for any spurious metal to enter the ecosystem. So that was something I wanted to add on the previous one.
Right.
And with
global collaboration. Very quickly.
With regards to global collaboration, I think once the exchange comes into place and we get this some kind of a pseudo mandate that it becomes a gateway for gold to enter into India, the kind of liquidity which will come, I think one set of players who are going to provide liquidity on the sell side would automatically get a transparent and an open view of the kind of prices which are prevailing. And that would broaden the supplier base of gold into the country. So that one, on that side, one collaboration I think would automatically come up. The second set of collaborations would be somewhere we will need to closely work with some of the exchanges so as to some kind of a loco swap or a location swap kind of a arrangement for settlements in with regards to futures versus spot, something like EFP which happens, local London versus COMEX, something of those kinds of collaborations would add to the would add to the volumes and the meaningfulness of the exchange itself.
Great. Mahendra, I'm coming to you. Do you think in terms of IIBX itself, what, if I were to tell you, what would you expect in 1 year's time as a banker? I just want that, and I want you to answer one more question. The entire domestic exchange, if it comes, even this, it's going to change the way you are supplying gold, right? Is it going to affect your margins?
So basically, from a banker's point of view, we're not talking about margins. I mean, when you do a trade or whatever transaction which you do, the bank will definitely see that they're properly and adequately covered. And now in terms of collaboration, we already have a lot of overseas suppliers who are already in the supplying it here in the Indian context. But I think there's nothing additionally which is required which is going to change anything. There are certain points which I wanted to make from a broader perspective. There are different parameters we need to look at and different priorities which we have. Are we trying to shift from the existing system to IBX to have some sort of an ease in transactions? Are we trying to promote the India Good Delivery Bars so that the inflow of gold into India is sort of reduced? These are the things which needs to be sort of focused on, so that what happens in IBX for a period of time, 1 year from now, it's definitely going to be a very greener pasture. We're talking about, we have the market, we have almost about 900 tons of gold which is going to come into India. That market situation is never going to change. So you have a very captive market which is there, whether it's going to be locally satiated or whether there should be an inflow from the overseas market, that is what. And in terms of operations, I mean, we as bankers, we've been regulated. So if there have been so many regulations which have seen in the past. As I said, there was gold loans which were stopped, and the banks quickly adapted to find a solution so that the jewelers at the other end are getting gold on a loan basis. This is an automatic transformation which the market will definitely discover, and even the bankers will discover.
And then the last question, I have only one, I'll use one mischievous question for all of you, but it should be fast. But before that, I wanted to say, you see this, we have now a situation where we definitely need changes. I mean, when the exchange comes, banks will have to change. Importing agencies will have to change. Recycling will have to change. Globally, if you all know, many big companies like Apple doesn't buy mined gold. You saw David speak about responsible gold mining. Now we in India are focused on recycling. It's because Apple says only recycle gold because it is ESG compliant. It is better for the climate, blah, blah. Now we have an opportunity there. So in my view, 5 years from now, recycled gold will probably go at a premium. We don't know. We have to prepare for those. So many things are going to change, which means there will be a lot more incentives. Even as a banker, you can give because you're going to get a premium if the consumer gives. My question is, as an ecosystem, and this I want a honest answer from you, as an ecosystem, do you think the Indian market is ready for these changes from the bankers, from the refiners? There's part of it coming through Dore. There's one LBMA refinery. We may have more. There's one coming through. And then there is OTC trade. There is consignment sales. All right. So, do you think, really speaking, we are ready for the change? I think very quickly, Kotharaji, you can also answer, and the two bankers, I want to just.
Yeah, मेरे हिसाब से आपने जो पूछा है वो एकदम सही है कि इसमें काफ़ी चेंजेज आ जाएगा. फर्स्ट थिंग, द स्पॉट एक्सचेंज आने से द प्राइस डिटर्मिनेशन हो जाता है. उसके हिसाब से ऑप्शन के अंदर लिक्विडिटी काफ़ी आ जाती है. अगर आपने देखा होगा कि ऑप्शन में अभी लिक्विडिटी जितनी आनी चाहिए उतनी नहीं आई. और आज की डेट में इंडिया सिटिंग विद द ह्यूज लिक्विडिटी एंड एवरीवन वाचिंग कि EGR कब आ रहा है बिकॉज दे वांट द इंस्ट्रूमेंट.
ओके.
और अब almost after the 96, 97 and 2021, almost 25 years we have passed. I think government now taking, and the regulatory, first thing, the regulatory should be the very strong. So I think the spot exchange should run very well and well organized.
Well organized, okay. You think we're ready for the transition? Very quick.
I would say that the industry is already doing it. Maybe it's not in an organized form right now. We need a couple of policy changes to make it organized, and I don't see any reason why it can't be happen. One of the policy reforms I would suggest would be something like right now Dore refining gets some kind of custom subsidy, So if organized, the metal when it gets recycled right now, entire metal is out of the system. Even the recycled finished good also goes out of the system. If it is brought into the system and it goes through the domestic exchange, probably some kind of GST benefit be given so that it becomes a official recycle of metal. And the second thing is basically on the bank support in terms of financing of that inventory which is under recycling. So scrap financing basically.
This is a mischievous question to you. I'll just, will you move away from consignment sales and will you be comfortable doing that?
I don't think there's a choice.
There's a choice. But are you happy about it?
Yeah, but it's just question of the industry's need.
It's a need.
Yeah.
But from a bank, you're okay to
From
do
a
that.
bank's point of view,
Right.
nothing.
I'm having one question. Everybody has to be fast. All right? You just have 1 minute because I want to wind it up. Each one of you you enter a lift and whatever, with a lot of luck, the finance minister walks in. It is just you and the finance minister. And she just asks you a question. So, you've been in this panel. So, what do you think we should do to make it successful? You got just 2 minutes before it reaches this. So, elevator talk. First, I'll start with you, or anybody who is prepared. If you're not prepared, you want to come last, that's fine with me.
I'll give you.
Okay, you take your time to think.
I want to say the single window we want to clearance. There is RBI, DGFT, customs, DRI.
Single window
everywhere,
clearance.
Single window clearance.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Now, Amar, would you want to go?
I think Kothari ji said well, we need one regulator who can understand and make those changes. I think Kothari ji said we all are matured. We are waiting for this time to come. Indian banking system has a very creative, smart individual. They will evolve. But what they need, the change and reform in policy.
Okay, great.
That's it.
So, Ashish.
I think accelerate the domestic spot exchange for success of IBX.
Sorry,
I said accelerate the domestic spot exchange for
okay, great.
success of
Accelerate
IBX.
this. All right. What should we do to make it a success? What do you think?
Remove the capital gains tax on the sale of old gold.
Brilliant. Go ahead.
Allow, the policy ends need to meet. For example, there is bullion banks are allowed to hedge GMS exposure on commodity exchanges, but yet there are no RBI guidelines for it. On the one hand, there was a notification that bullion banks can actually settle the GML with the gold bought from here. So all these things can integrate well. It's something.
So you are saying that the policy has to be a little more, you have to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Some of these. There are inconsistencies.
I'll have 3 points.
You okay? Elevator might stop, but you go ahead.
The first one Amar has more or less covered policy and regulatory reforms so that we have world-class financial institutions focused on this business. The second one was basically when we have been talking about GMS, and GMS basically is trying to accumulate or get back the gold which we have already lost to the masses. We should have a product which gives the individuals the option of having it and not get the gold lost at the first place itself, and the product would be something like gold savings account and gap. Okay. And the third and the last one would be basically proposed to bring back the custom duty back to Jan 17 2012 levels, which was at 1% of the gold value.
Well, that at least elicited some applause. Although you may have been pushed out of the elevator, that I'm not responsible. Go ahead.
So basically, there's been a lot of discussions going on over many conferences. If you ask me for one thing which is required now for this industry is to have only one drawing table. All the stakeholders sit into that instead of having multiple regulators, multiple agencies, and have different thought processes. There should be only one drawing table to come to a conclusion on what is to be done.
No, that's brilliant. Actually, to see, in a way, I'm just winding it up now. In a way, we are converging on that with IFSCA regulator having done the work and SEBI having joined it. I think it should have a structure, maybe a standing committee of all these people, that we will leave it to the structure. I will just stop with this and I will give the final words to you, but before that, as a council, World Council, we have been very supportive of the exchange and various things. One thing we have always seen is, yes, it seems sometimes to take time because, as the chairman rightly said, we have grown since 91 once the Gold Control Act was removed. We have grown in good ways in some way. We're going fast, but it has been not even. because of which the stakeholder expectations are very, very different. But what we have seen is what's happening in the market today, which many of us may not connect, will all get connected in the next few years. I mean, we often go to our desk and see what's going to happen, etc. The go spot exchange, good delivery standard, technology coming in, blockchain being used. It's all very infancy stage. It's going to absolutely change the way. One important thing I want to leave here is, you look at the world today, everywhere people make money only on good governance. They just provide trust, marketplace. You saw, I was listening to someone, you saw how the Nykaa IPO, all that they do is provide a trustworthy place where you can get a particular type of product in a trustworthy manner, and they just have a valuation. So trust, building trust is very important with technology, with regulations, and with processes, and that's obviously a trend which has started. India should be ahead of it. India also has to look at emerging trends like ESG, where gold can play a very, very big role, and we can actually be ahead as we have been on digital front. With those words, I thank you all, but I would like Mr. Manoj to have the final word. Not allowing the regulator to have the final word can be career limiting.
Thank you so much. The sense which I have got from this panel discussion is that all of us agree that it's a very significant change. And from a regulatory perspective, while Kothari Saab's demand is immediately met, you have a unified regulator already in place, and you may be interacting with us and you may be seeing that wherever possible we are trying to give you a unified view. But these type of changes always warrant some commitments and some sacrifices from all. And I'm sure that the panel which is sitting here, they are representing various stakeholders. They may be ready for sacrificing. From a regulatory perspective, I can assure you that we are very, very conscious that any change which we are bringing should be non-disruptive in nature. And to that, whatever extent possible, we will try to handhold the issues. We are open to dialogue and discussions. As you noticed that Chairman in his opening remark itself mentioned that the very idea of IFSCA team which is sitting here being present in this conference, and they will continue to do so throughout the event, is to gain feedback from all of you and try to devise policies according to those feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and with that we close the session. Thank you all individually very much.